officers are not yet present. Counsel indicated you had something you wanted to address.
A couple things, Your Honor. First is we had addressed with the court the issue of witness lists and upcoming witnesses. I don't know how else better to do it. I know we're trying to work with the prosecution on that, but and we did get some names yesterday, which were different than the names they gave us last week. We do need a little bit of notice. We don't need actually the exact order. If we can just have, the next 5 witnesses or so for next week. We don't even necessarily need the exact order at the time. We know that that can change. We got to have some advance notice on that, and I don't know how to if we need to more formalize that, but we wanted to bring that to the court's attention.
I think as long as you have notice of witnesses for the next day or so, I think that's all that can be expected to be planned for.
Okay, if that's what it is, and that's what it is. We can, so we'll just then expect that we'll be notified of the next day's witnesses.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair enough. The second thing is yesterday I got a call from Ms. Rodriguez, and she indicated that we had faxed over some transcripts to their office. Inadvertently, our office sent over some what appeared to be notes. They certainly weren't my notes because I could read them. So it was someone's notes. It was perhaps Mr. McGee's notes or a member of our staff's notes. I reviewed that, and I appreciate Ms. Rodriguez doing that and informing us because it was inadvertently obviously sent over. But I did review those 4 or 5 pages of notes that were attached to that. And although that is, in our opinion, a turn to work product, she did notify us. She deleted it, and I believe the entire DA's team deleted that as well. And there was really nothing in those reports that seemed to be of any consequence. So
okay.
Just let the court know on that.
And I can validate what Mr. Moline just said. I was in the room with Ms. Rodriguez. Sergeant Smith was with us and watched us delete those from our email accounts and when we alerted Mr. Moline to that. So we did not retain any copies of that material, nor did we even have a chance really to examine it to even know what it was, other than it didn't look right since it wasn't a transcript.
Okay, thank you.
There was the continued discussion of a scene visit, and it kind of goes with the scheduling of witnesses. We would like to try, if the court is inclined, to do one or both of the scene visits, to pencil that in on a date so we can arrange witness schedules.
Maybe tomorrow I can meet with counsel and you can explain to me the necessity for a scene visit, because I'm still not really seeing the necessity for that.
I can make Ms. Rodriguez and Mr. Dougherty available for that.
That's fine.
If that's the court's desire, someone will be available from our side to discuss it.
Okay.
But I think it would help address some of the issues that we have in telling them ahead of time, because the scheduling is quite complicated, and we have that hanging out there to try to fit into the schedule as well.
All right.
Just like the court knows.
That's not even on the schedule yet, so I think it's not unreasonable for the defense to have notice of at least the witnesses that are intended to be called the next day.
And I did let them know the witnesses we were calling today, and I also told them the witnesses that we were calling Monday. As things take longer, we have to shuffle and shift.
No, but I understand that. That's why I say a day or two at most, because I think all that can be expected. Okay? Anything else?
No.
Okay. You ready for that? Sure. So tomorrow, 9:30?
Well, I have to be in Rancho. If we can do it later in the morning or early in the afternoon.
11 a.m.
11 a.m. would probably be something closer I can make, yes.
Okay.
And if I'm running late, I'll let your judicial assistant know and Mr. Doherty know
Okay.
where we are.
Looks like they're making only me available for tomorrow, so I'll be here.
I'm not available at 11 or early afternoon. So.
You're all generic. One is as good as the other.
Fun.
We are back in session. Party council are present. All members who are jury or alternates are present. And you can call your next witness.
If you will call Bruce Carter, please.
Do you solemnly state the evidence you'll give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
State your full names, tell it for the record.
Bruce Carter.
Spell your first name.
Oh, B-R-U-C-E.
And last name.
C-A-R-T-E-R.
Thank you. All right, you may proceed, Mr. Ernst.
Mr. Carter, good morning. My name is Britt Imes. I'm the prosecutor in this case. We haven't had a chance to meet yet today, had we?
No.
Okay. I want to thank you for coming. I have a few questions for you. What company do you work for?
I work for Sentinel Protective Services.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Sentinel Protective Services.
Okay. If I can, if you could stay seated forward a little bit towards that mic so we can all hear you. Thank you. And what is Sentinel Protective Services?
Private security company.
And where is it located?
San Ysidro, California.
And what is the scope of business? What do you guys do at that company?
We patrol the parking lot, answer calls from the stores for unruly customers.
Okay. Do you do it at a particular store or shopping center or multiple places?
At a shopping center.
What shopping center is that?
This is San Ysidro Village, formerly San Diego Factory Outlet.
And where is that located at?
San Ysidro, California.
And how long have you worked for Sentinel Protection?
19 years.
Do you own it or run it? Or
own
you own it?
own it.
Okay. So for 19 years, have you always had this contract to do security at that San Ysidro shopping mall?
Yes, I have.
Is it an indoor mall or an outdoor mall?
Outdoor.
How big is it?
Got roughly 35 stores. Probably, maybe 200 square feet.
200 square feet?
Well, I'm going for the parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you a couple things, just to start orienting us to where we're talking about. I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 577. Do you recognize that map?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And how do you recognize it?
It's a site plan of the stores that are at the mall.
And it's showing up on the screen and on the monitor in front of you. Is that what you have in front of you in your hand?
Yes.
Okay. There is a laser pointer right here. It's a little button right there. Okay, makes a little red dot. If you could turn towards the screen and just kind of outline the area that we're talking about.
All of this is my shopping center, sir.
On both sides of Camino de la Plaza?
No, just this side where this is the same building. That's the new name of it. All of these are stores on my side.
Okay. For the record, you pointed to a red dot that said San Ysidro Village.
Yes.
And you indicated the stores on the north.
These stores on this side. This is Camino de la Plaza here. All the stores on top are at my shopping center. This is across the street.
You don't have the privilege to provide security to the stuff across the street?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Would you like to?
Yes.
Okay. Specifically, I want to refer you back in time a little bit. Do you remember there being a store called Pink Zone?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell us where about that was located in that shopping center at the time?
Right there.
You pointed where it says now Guitar Center.
That's correct.
Is the Guitar Center now in that store that was called Pink Zone?
Yes, it is.
Okay, you can turn back around, thank you. I'm going to show you one more, and that's 576. This is a satellite image or aerial view. Is that of the same shopping center area?
Yes, it is.
And it also shows the street of Camino de la Plaza, correct?
Yes.
And it shows Guitar Center as well?
Yes.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about, well, actually, show you another exhibit. Here is 133. You recognize what's depicted in that photograph?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
This is the west entrance of the mall. I'm sorry, east entrance.
Pull that up so everyone can see what you're looking at. That's what we're looking at, right, on the screen?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Okay. And 580, you recognize what's depicted in that photograph?
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize that?
It's the from the pink zone.
Which is now the Guitar Center.
That's correct.
That one, sadly, I did not put in the cool electronic form, so let me put it up on the overhead. Oh, we just went to Death Valley instead of Yosemite. But that's the general area, that's the pink zone we were talking about.
Yes.
Okay. How many security guards do you have working for you?
4.
Okay. Does that include yourself? You go out and do security work also?
Well, I was doing a little bit then, but I'm not doing anything now.
Okay. Then being when? 2010?
Yeah, 2010. Yeah.
Did you have a couple security guards working for you at the time, a David Jackson and a Mr. Murray?
Yes, I did.
What Mr. Murray's name again?
James.
James Murray. They worked for you back in 2010? Is that a yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
Court reporter needs to hear
Yeah.
actual answers. So tell us about this shopping center in the parking lot. How close is it to the border?
It's walking distance, about a 10-minute walk.
Do people commonly park there and not go shopping in that shopping center?
They do. Yes.
How often do you see that?
Just about every day. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there public transportation access to the shopping center?
Yes, it is.
What kind?
MTS bus.
I'm sorry, we're all from up here in San Bernardino
I'm
County. MTS is,
Basic public transportation.
okay, buses?
Yes.
Is there a trolley stop nearby?
It is now, since they moved the border closer to the mall, it's just pretty much across the street
Across the street from the border or from the shopping center?
from the shopping center.
Back in 2010, there was a trolley stop there still, though.
Not at the place where it is now. It's the 10-minute walk across the bridge.
Oh, but there was one nearby.
Yes.
Okay. Because it's really close to the border, is there a lot of taxi cab activity?
Not in my lot, no.
Near your lot?
Yeah.
Where?
They park on the bridge. There's a walking bridge to go over the freeway, and they normally park there.
Is it a lot of cabs
Typically 7 or 8.
at any given time?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, if I were to go down and say, hey, I want to go shopping in Tijuana, and I park in front of the pink zone, and can I leave it there all day?
No.
Well, tell us how that works with you as a security company for this shopping center.
How that works is that since we have so many people coming there, parking and leaving their car, if you are seen leaving your vehicle there, you have approximately 2 hours to retrieve your vehicle or it will be towed.
Okay. And was that the policy back in 2010?
The policy in 2010 was we were just pretty much towing at night, or if you left your car over an extended period of time, or if you were a repeat offender, like if you came and left it kind of like every day, or if it were an eyesore, then it would be towed.
So it sounds like since 2010, it's kind of tightened up a little bit and shortened the time that you're willing to, or allowed to tow vehicles from that shopping center. Am I correct?
Well, it depends on the time. Overnight, there's no overnight parking, so you cannot leave it at overnight at any time.
Okay.
So in 2010, we started the towing process at 10 o'clock because our stores were closed at 9. So about 10 o'clock, we started the towing process, so any cars that were left over would be towed. Now, that's a little different because we have a couple stores that are open later, so we don't start at 10 o'clock anymore. We start at 11 or 12, depending on what time the store closes.
Okay. So back in 2010, they generally closed about 9 p.m.?
By 9 p.m.
And you and your guards would then begin the process of towing any cars that were left about an hour later.
Right.
You mentioned a 2-hour limit if seen. What
Right. This is mainly in the daytime or any other time. If you come and park in the middle of the day, and if we see you leaving your car there, and we can't convince you to come back and take it with you, then you have 2 hours, and then it will be towed.
So in that sense, if I were to pull in and I see one of your security guards,
Mm-hmm.
and he sees me walk across the border or towards the border, your security guard's going to say, hey, you got 2 hours or else?
No, we're going to tell him that you're not allowed to leave your car here at all in the first place.
Okay.
And if he wants to play the game by, the rule of 2 hours, then, he can go over, and if he's not back in 2 hours, then it's towed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more of a today practice than a 2010 practice?
It was the same back then.
Okay. How many guards, security guards, worked the plaza at any given time?
In 2010, I think it was one guard in the daytime, one in the afternoon, and on the weekend, it was 2 guards in the afternoon, because it was the weekend.
Okay. So during the week, though, it'd be one for that whole area.
One per shift, yeah.
So if I was really smart, I could pull in while your guard was on one end of the shopping center, book it across the border or to a cab or to the trolley, and you'd never notice.
Right.
So you would have no reason to tow it in 2 hours, right?
No, I mean, if I didn't see you leave, there's no reason for me to tow your vehicle.
Okay. So that's why you have that cutoff time of an hour after the close of business.
Right.
Because then at that point, it's not an employee's, right?
Right. I mean, once it's verified that it's not an employee car, if you didn't come to me earlier that day and tell me that my car is broken, I can't move it right now, or something like that, then it would be towed out.
Okay. How many entrances and exits are there to and from the shopping center? Would it help to look at the map I left you to count?
No, then all of them not there.
Okay.
It's about 5 or 6.
Okay.
And then the back of it is completely open. I mean, you can always come off the street in an alley, and it's always open all the way.
So the north side, like behind the pink zone, is all open alleyway. You could come in that way.
Not on that side. It would be on the west side of the mall, to where you can come off one of the surface streets and come to an alley in the back, and you can come through the back of the mall and enter the mall that way, instead of coming through the front entrances.
Okay. And so what is the procedures at this point for when you or your employees decide to tow a car that is there after hours?
It's actually relevant to the current procedure.
Overruled.
What we do is we take the information off the car, and we call the towing company, get all the information, and then he comes and he gets the information from the car, takes the pictures, and documents the time and all of that, and then he proceeds to tow it.
So it's a private party tow.
Right.
Okay. San Diego PD or Sheriff's Department's not involved?
No. Only thing we have to, between my security guards and the towing company, one of us or both of us have to notify the police that the vehicle is towed.
That way, if I come back and I call the police wondering where my car is, they know.
They know. Exactly.
Let me show you. So, I take it you have some realization, you have some idea why you're here, right?
Right.
Okay. You're familiar with the case of the McStays?
I am.
Okay. It was your company in charge of the lot back in 2010?
Yes.
You're familiar that some of your employees had a car towed?
Yes, I'm familiar.
Okay. As part of that, as part of your business, you said they fill out forms and they have it towed, right?
Right.
So I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 140. It's actually 2 pages. I'm going to ask you to look at the second page. Do you recognize page 2 of Exhibit 140?
I do.
And what is it?
It's a towing form from the towing company that we fill out before the car is towed to make sure there's no, to note that if there's any damages to the vehicle and what time it was left there and what time it's going to be towed.
Okay. And do you recognize the signature of one of your employees on that document that would have towed it?
Yes, I do.
And where is that located?
At the bottom, at the X.
Okay. Let me put that on the overhead so we can all see what you're looking at. Can you use that laser pointer on the big screen and show us what you were referring to? Okay, in your the bottom right where there's an X says signature, owner, agent, private property, appears to be a name of James Murray. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that's the employee you talked about earlier.
That's correct.
Does your company keep a copy of this form as part of your process and records?
No, they're given to the towing company.
The night of February 8th, 2010, were you working that night?
No, sir.
Who was working that night on your company's behalf?
James Merritt.
Was there another employee there also?
No, sir.
Who worked which shift did Mr. Murray work?
I think it's 3 to 11.
3 to 11. Do you know who worked after him?
I can't remember. It could have been David Jackson. I can't remember.
Okay. It's been a long time ago, I get that. I left it on the thing. How would you tow cars earlier in the day?
Yes, like I said, if they're repeat offenders, if I ask them not to leave and they left anyway, sometimes they do that. Or if the car is really an eyesore or something like that, it would have to be kind of special for them to get towed in the daytime.
Gotcha. I think I actually misstated that question. What I meant to ask was, you meant there was no overnight parking. When does that overnight end?
I'm not understanding your question.
So you said there's no overnight parking in the lot, and you said that you start towing an hour after close of business, in this case 10 o'clock back then.
That's correct.
How late through the night into the morning would you enforce that no overnight parking rule and tow cars if they were left there?
So about 6 or 7 o'clock the next morning. I mean, when the employees start to come in.
So there's no hard and fast time?
No.
You said 6 or 7?
Right.
So would it be subject to the person working that night's discretion whether or not to allow a car to stay that came in earlier? Let's say a car came in at 5 in the morning. If they noticed it, it would be their discretion whether to tow it or not?
Well, the thing is, if there's certain things are open at that time of morning to where that person could be, then, for example, like now, we have a 7-Eleven in the shopping center now, so that's 24 hours. So if a car came at that time, even if they park on the opposite side of the mall, then we still have to take precautions because it could still be a customer at 7-Eleven.
Okay. So you, as an employer, give your guards a lot of discretion in when to tow and not to tow, correct?
Right. So, for example, if he came at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, it would be up to the security guard to actually tow the car if he thought that the guy left and went across the border or off the property, period.
Or exceeded the 2 hours, or...
Right, correct.
Okay. I have nothing further of Mr. Carter, thank you.
Cross?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Carter.
Morning.
Can you hear me okay?
I can't.
Do you still have the map or overhead exhibit of the satellite photo of your parking lot?
I don't have anything right now, sir.
Satellite or map?
Satellite.
Yeah, That's why when they didn't obliterate roadways.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Carter, I'm going to give you which is Exhibit 576, just so we're clear. It has an overhead of Camino de la Plaza, correct, down the middle? Is that a yes?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
and then you have a shopping center on the north side of that, close to the freeway, correct?
That's correct.
And then you have another shopping center down below. Where are the limits of the parking lot that you service on this picture? Can you identify those in the picture? Or do you see them first?
Yeah, the whole shopping center is my limits.
So everything you see all the way to the end of the page?
That's correct.
And then how far over then to the right side?
All the way over to the Dollar Tree.
So can you write a line, draw a line around the edge perimeter, and don't write over any of the street names or anything like that, just so we know exactly what you service? You can probably just go to the end of the page, right?
Okay, this is the Los Americas outlet. We don't service that.
I'm sorry, say it again?
We don't service the Los Americas outlet.
So you don't service the building, but you service the parking lot?
No. Okay, nowhere on the property. We service the San Ysidro Village.
Okay, which is on the far left side of this exhibit.
That's correct.
So just, you service this parking lot on the left,
That's correct.
and then this parking lot over here,
That's correct.
and not this in the middle.
Not the Los Americas. That's correct.
Okay, so let's put, don't, make sure you don't go over street names again. Do these boxes of that.
So we want to cut it off at the Marshalls right here.
Okay.
Because we service the Marshalls and not the Los Americas outlet. So I guess this will go right here.
Perfect. So I will put this up so everybody can see what you did. Carter, just so everybody knows, so that they can't really see what we're looking at here, you drew a black line around this parking lot here on the left side, correct?
That's correct.
And then you drew the line that goes around this parking lot here that has the Marshalls, the Guitar Center, and the Dollar Tree, correct?
That's correct.
And you kept saying the San Ysidro outlet, this parking lot here, you do not service.
No, we do not.
Okay, so it's this parking lot on the left that's around the marker, and then this parking lot here on the north side between Marshall and the street.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, you spoke with a Detective Hankey in 2014, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Do you remember having that conversation down by your office?
I do.
Now, were you talking in an office or just in the parking lot?
We were in the parking lot.
And during that conversation, you were trying to talk about how many parking spaces you cover in your process, correct?
That's correct.
And you were trying to estimate how many parking spaces there were by counting rows and saying it's approximately this many rows, and you came to an approximate number.
Yes.
And it was somewhere around 250, give or take 50.
Yeah, somewhere like that.
And when you were speaking with Detective Hankey, you were telling him that the guards do not look for towing during the day. And that's really a nighttime service. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And so now you testified that you now do actually tow during the daytime if you can identify people leaving their vehicles and walking outside the stores like they're using the parking lot illegally.
Right.
And when you were speaking with Mr. Hankey, you said a new property manager had taken over the property recently in 2014.
Right. That's correct.
So there was a different property manager in 2010 than the one you have now.
That's correct.
So that's clear, that's probably a change of policies based on the change of the owner.
Yes, sir.
So in 2010, you were saying that you didn't really tow during the day. It would have been at night.
That's correct.
And so when the detective was asking, so if somebody showed up at 7 a.m. they weren't towed until after 10. You remember telling that to Detective Hank?
If we didn't see them leave that car there, there's no reason for us to tow it. I mean, we have to see them leave it.
But at the time, you're like, if people park, we didn't enforce it like that.
That's correct.
Now, when you have a vehicle towed, do you use a particular company in 2009 and 10?
Yes, sir.
Who was that?
Western towing.
Did Western Towing did all your towing?
Yes.
And what you would do is you'd fill out a tow slip and then call the tow company.
That's correct.
And then they would come when they're available.
Right.
And then they would do what they had to do, document what they had to do, and then they would fill out their paperwork and sign off whatever you had.
That's correct.
And so you would have a dispatch time that you would have on your paperwork, correct?
That's correct.
But they would have a completion time of when they finished the tow.
That's correct.
So is it common in your practice that sometimes the tows happen right away, if they were available?
That's correct.
And sometimes it can be hours.
That's correct.
And so your dispatch time doesn't really matter, it's when they got there and finished.
Right.
Now, we're going to show you Exhibit 581, which I'm not going to show you. The defense subpoenaed the tow records for Western Tow Company for 18-month period, 2009 and 2010.
Objection, is that a question or testimony?
Sustained.
Motion to strike.
There's no testimony.
Do you know how many cars you towed between January 1st, 2009 and June of 2010?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Your Honor, it goes to impeachment.
Objection sustained.
I'm going to show you which is 581A, which is the printouts of all the vehicles towed by your company between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m.
Objection, this assumes facts on evidence, lacks complete foundation, doesn't work for the tow company, and it's not relevant.
What's the time frame on that?
Is from January 2009 to June of 2010. Vehicles all through that period when he said the policy and how it worked at that time.
Objection sustained on relevance grounds and evidence code 352.
Sir, can I be heard?
No.
Your Honor, I think defense really needs to be heard.
Back in 2010, with the old property manager, were cars sometimes towed during the daytime?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay, what would be the circumstances in 2010 when cars would be towed during the daytime?
Like I said, if the cars and eyesores have been left there for more than a day, if the people come and they come every day and we ask them not to leave the car and they continue to leave it, we are allowed to tow the car, but we don't tow cars normally in the daytime because there's so much confusion with, or if they're going across the street to the other shopping center, we tend to not to tow their vehicle if they're doing that. But if we know for sure that they're going elsewhere, like I said, repeat offenders, cars with eyesores and stuff like that, then we find a way to get the car out of there.
So in 2010, if there was a car there during the daytime that you hadn't seen before,
Right.
and well, normal car, not damaged, not an eyesore,
Right.
under normal circumstances, that would not be towed?
It would not be towed unless it's left there after hours at night.
Right, I understand
But
at night.
in the daytime, no.
Any cars there after 10 o'clock are going to get towed.
Correct. Unless it's been agreed upon, like an employee car, a car that's broken down, you can't move it. You know, we put a note in to make sure we don't get it towed, but anything else, yes.
Okay, but so generally, 2010, car not known to you from being there before, not an eyesore, your testimony is that it probably would not be towed.
Probably would not be towed unless it was left there after 10 o'clock that night.
Right, I'm just talking about during the day.
Probably not be towed, yes, sir.
What if, let's say the guard goes by, notices it at sometime in the morning, notices it again later in the afternoon, so it's been, probably not.
Not gonna be able to tow it because they didn't see him leaving. So, and the stores are open, so we can't verify what the person is.
Okay, so what if the car's parked there during the day, guard sees it parked there, and sees the guy walk off the property in 2010?
Probably would not be towed again unless he didn't come back, or he or she didn't come back before towing started that night at 10 o'clock.
Okay, all right. Ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Mr. Carter, would it sound about right between January 1st of 2009 to June of 2010 that your company towed, or had Western Towing tow approximately 488 vehicles from those lots?
Objection assumes facts not in evidence.
Overruled, you can answer.
I have no idea, sir.
Well, let me ask you this. You saw that stack of documents up here? The address of 4498 Camino de la Plaza, is that a parking lot that you service?
Yes, it is.
Is that the parking lot in question?
Yes, it is.
And you use Western Towing?
Yes.
And when you use Western Towing, you give them the reason for why you requested the tow?
Yes, I do.
So it could be an over the time limit,
Yes.
could be eyesore,
Yes.
could be a non-customer.
Right. Correct.
And those are the designations you give them.
Right.
And you said that if someone's a non-customer, let's say they park the car and walk away, during that time frame, 2009, 2010, it wasn't your practice to tow those individuals.
Objection misstates testimony.
Overruled. You can answer. Is that
All right,
right?
I'm sorry. Repeat the question.
During 2009, 2010, if an individual parked their car and then did not become a patron of one of those businesses, walked away, whether it's to another business or across the border, wherever they did, it was your practice not to tow them at that time during the day.
In the daytime, yes.
Looking at those records, and I see you wear glasses, these are records from Western Tow showing the address and the location they towed them from and the completion time of the tow. You recognize those and the date that the tow was happened. You see all those?
Objection, misstates the evidence lacks foundation
Overruled.
as to the completion time.
Overruled.
I see that's the address and time.
Now, if you'd like, you can flip through those, but 103 of them show that during that period from your address, generally vehicles were towed 3, 4 o'clock, 7, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning from your address for a non-customer.
Objection assumes facts not in evidence.
Sustained.
Looking at those records, seeing that information, does that change maybe your testimony that maybe people were towed if they were seen by your company?
Obviously, some of the vehicles were towed in the daytime, but like I said, we do tow cars in the daytime for special reasons. It's not totally out of the question to tow a vehicle in the daytime. It depends on, like I said, if we can catch people and tell them not to leave, and they leave anyway, then they're probably going to get their car towed. It's just that.
Let me stop you right there. If you see that, if you see somebody park their car and walk away, and you see them and you say, hey, don't park here, and they do anyway, and you tow them during the day,
We can.
what would you designate them as?
meaning non-customer, leaving the property, abandoning the property,
Yes. So they'd be designated non-customer.
abandoning their vehicle,
But how would you designate it for the tow? Non-customer?
non-customer?
Okay. It wouldn't be a time limit violation.
No,
That would be at the end of the day.
right.
Or overnight parking.
Well, actually, if you leave your car in California law states, if you leave it for more than an hour, it can be towed.
But was that the practice? We want to stay
No.
on 2010.
No.
Just on your practice then. Because I know you do a different practice now, and you're thinking a lot what you'll do now.
But we always, even if they left, especially in the daytime, we always gave them an hour.
Okay. But so you did tow vehicles in 2009 and 2010,
There were vehicles towed in the daytime.
and that happened frequently.
Yes, sir.
So if a vehicle's towed at night, it doesn't necessarily mean then that it was there all day. It could have been because it was there at night.
Objection assumes facts not known.
Your employees, Mr. Jackson and Mr. Murray, were you satisfied with their ability to maintain that parking lot during the time of early 2010?
Yes, I was.
And do you think they were both diligent in their ability to make sure that the property manager had enough parking spots for their paying customers?
Objection, relevance, improper character evidence of the witness that hasn't testified.
State of relevancy and evidence.
Did you have any issues with the property management that they were saying your company was not diligent enough in keeping enough spaces available for their customers?
No,
Is it fair to say you did not have to terminate the employment of any of your employees at that time for failing to do their job properly?
Objection, relevance.
One second. Now, during your interview and also during direct testimony, you mentioned you knew a lot about the McStay disappearance.
say it again?
You knew about the McStay family disappearance in 2010.
Yes, I did. Mhm.
And I understand also you had help to find the missing McStay family. You kept that up in your office.
Yeah, I had there was a flyer that a family member was passing out.
Yes.
Yeah, so I knew about the McStay case, yes, I did.
And you kept it up just to help them.
Yeah,
And you knew that the vehicle in question, their Zuzu Trooper, was towed out of parking lot you service.
right.
Did San Diego detectives ever come and interview you concerning what you knew?
No,
To your knowledge, did they contact you to ask if they can interview any of your workers?
no,
So the first contact you had with anybody concerning what you knew was from San Bernardino.
Objection,
correct.
relevance.
Overruled.
Would it be? How's your memory of February of 2010 right now?
I have no recollection of it.
Right. How strong was your memory of February 2010 and 2014 when you were interviewed?
Well, again, if we're talking about a certain incident, I mean, I can think of something, but if you just ask me what do I think about in general about a certain day, then you have to bring something to mind. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
It's hard, would you say, to think of particular dates that are years back.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about the interview that I had with the detective from San Bernardino, I remember the talk we had, but what I was doing that day, I don't remember what I was doing that day, but I remember the talk we had.
Makes sense. If there's an event that you can actually pinpoint, then you can remember that event.
Right.
But a date you can't,
Right.
unless there's something special
So,
about it.
exactly.
So whether or not a tow of a vehicle or whether or not a vehicle was or was not towed, just a random vehicle out of the hundreds you see, it's hard to remember those details now.
Right.
If somebody came and talked to you within the few days or a week if it was towed, do you think you may have more information?
Well, actually, being the owner of the company, I'm not there every day, so I don't tow every car. And every car that's towed, I'm not notified of it. So there may be a car that was towed that I have nothing about. And if it becomes a problem or an issue, then I have to dig and get the paperwork and make calls and figure out what happened. But if it was a legal tow, there's nothing, but there's several cars that I have no idea about.
And you said during direct that Mr. Murray was the one that filled out the tow sheet and signed it?
That's correct.
And are you aware where Mr. Murray is today?
Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago.
So he's not available for us to call with.
Right, he's not available.
I have nothing further.
Anything else?
I do. Who do you work for again?
Sentinel Protective Services.
You don't work for the tow company, do you?
No, I don't.
And so you have no idea what those records are, do you?
Not really. Like I said, I don't tow all the cars, so there's a lot of them that I have no idea about.
Other than Mr. McGee telling you what they are, you
Right.
don't know what the stack of papers
No, I
is.
don't.
Okay. You don't know how they're prepared, do you?
No.
You don't know if they're accurate, do you?
I'm sorry, do I know if they're
You
accurate?
don't know if any of these documents are accurate.
I looked at the first one.
So, you or one of your employees would call in a tow, let's say at any given time of day.
Right.
9 a.m., 2 p.m., whatever.
Right.
Does that mean the tow truck showed up 5 minutes later?
No.
Would
No.
sometimes it be hours before they showed up?
Sometimes we don't get a chance to tow. Sometimes the people come back and pick up their car and it doesn't even get towed. It just depends on how busy they are. Sometimes they can come in 15 to 20 minutes. Sometimes it's longer. Sometimes it's hours. It just depends on how busy they are.
So, just because a tow company may have a record that it was towed during the day, you don't know if that's accurate, do you?
No.
You don't keep any, you said you don't keep a copy of the tow slip, right?
They're turned over to the towing company.
And you weren't there on February 8th, right?
I don't know if I was there. Is that the day that the car in question was towed? I don't know if I worked that day or not.
You don't remember being there, do you?
No, but at that time I was working pretty much Monday through Friday. So if it was a Monday through Friday, I probably was there, but I can't 100% guarantee you.
So these are these supposed records that Mr. McGee just gave you. What's the last date on this last page? The date on this last page?
February 24th, 2010.
What's the next date on the next to last page?
December 30th, 2009.
So it skips all of January and all of February, including February 8th?
Yes, it does.
But you told them, you have a tow slip for February 8th, right?
Right.
So you don't know if these records are even complete, do you?
Doesn't seem to be.
In fact, you have that? 385. No, it's 385 in the PDF. I'm going to show you Ms. Rodriguez's computer of the discovery that was provided by the defense to us. First of all, look at the format of that document. You see it? Now I want you to compare it to the one that's on the screen here. You see that? They look similar, right?
Right.
It says Western Towing, address, phone number, and everything. And let's see, they have a number down here. It says DEF 003587, correct?
That's correct.
And on the one in your hand, it has DEF on the first page 007115, right?
That's correct.
And the last page is DEF 007411, correct?
That's correct.
And this page here, DEF 003587, what is the date of that Western tow record? Right there.
February 8th, 2010.
For a, what kind of car?
Isuzu Trooper 1996.
Huh. You didn't see that when we looked at February in this record, did you?
No, I didn't.
Guess the records aren't complete. So, just to make a point, whether or not a vehicle was towed during the day was discretionary to your employee at the time.
That's correct.
And it could be during the day, it could be after hours.
That's correct.
It also assumes, correct me if I'm wrong, that your employee actually witnessed it, correct?
If we tow cars at night, we don't have to witness the owner leaving.
But during the day,
During the day, yes.
so it assumes they saw it during the day. And I may have been a little distracted, but pointer. I believe you indicated, Mr. McGee, you do this lot over here to the left of exhibit,
That's correct.
and this over here by the Marshall, I'm sorry, what's over here on the left that you circled?
San Ysidro Village.
And what store's in there?
That's the name of the shopping center. I really don't understand why it's way to the left and the
Okay.
store's over here, but that's the name of the shopping center there. These are the stores that I service over here. Marshall's, Guitar Center, and Dollar Tree.
And you have this little section in the middle that you don't get control of.
That's correct.
Okay, so you have this lot over here. How big is that lot?
I spoke earlier, and all of this is the same lot.
I can't, wait, I can't hear you.
Like I said earlier, the San Ysidro Village is the name of the shopping center where these stores are located. San Ysidro Outlet is a different shopping center.
Okay, so how many spaces are over here?
And I said earlier 200, but I meant 200,000 square feet. That's what I said earlier. That's what I meant to say earlier.
I thought 200 square feet was a little small. So the portion to the left of the outlets that you do is how big of parking spots? How many parking spots roughly?
Roughly, that's about maybe 175, 200 parking spaces.
And then the part to the right over here where the Marshall's Guitar Center is, how big is that?
That's about probably 75, 100 spaces.
Okay, so that's a lot of area.
Yeah.
Is it the same security guard that does both sides?
Right.
Oh, so he has to be in two places at once.
Well, there it looks like two places, but
Objection
it's
as
really
to
the
the
same
name,
place.
Your Honor, as to date.
Is that right?
Just a minute.
He
The
said during
objection
the week.
sustained on relevancy grounds and evidence code 342.
So back in 2010, you would have to patrol both sides.
That's correct.
Okay. I have enough further.
All right. Did you have anything else?
I did, Your Honor.
Well, then we're going to go ahead and take our noon recess.
It'll take me 3 minutes.
No,
and then you can be-
we'll come back at 1:30.
For Mr. Carter has an ill wife to take care of, I did ask the court just a few indulgence to let him finish.
Some of our staff needs to leave, so if you can do it in 1 minute,
Probably. I promise you I can.
important enough to have
It
him come back.
Yes.
1 minute.
Okay. The stack I gave you, that you have in front of you, the papers, do you remember saying those are only the tows between business hours? Do you remember that?
I thought they were the tolls completely out.
Look at the time on the completion. Isn't it true all those show only the tows that are between the 7 a.m. hour and 10 p.m. hour, actually 9 p.m. hour?
Objection lacks foundation.
Your Honor, he attacked my credibility and made me say I'm misrepresenting things to the jury. I want him to verify it.
The objection sustained on lack of foundation and evidence code 352.
Can you see the completion time on any of those sheets? Do you see any of them outside the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 p.m.?
I don't have them in front of me now, sir. I didn't look through all of them. I mean, you said it was, I don't know how many.
With the rest of the exhibits, Mr. McGee, you can stop understanding.
You started it.
All right, we'll come back. All right, I'm sorry, Mr. Carter, but we're going to need you back at 1:30. All right. We'll be in recess till 1:30. Keep in mind the admonitions previously given to you, not to form or express any opinions about the case, not to discuss the case, and we'll see everyone back at 1:30. The jurors have left, counsel and parties are still present. What time was the trooper towed according to the records?
after 11 p.m. It was 11. Well, there's photos taken at like 11:03. The tow sheet says 22:19 was the authorization time. It was picked up at 23:05. And the interesting thing is the record from Western Towing says the release time was 23:02 or 23:32
Well, that's released to the agency.
on 2/8.
Well,
The
if
date
it
on
was
here is
towed,
2/8.
if it was towed at 11 p.m., what's the relevance to how many cars might have been towed during the daytime?
That too.
Mr. McGee?
I'm sorry.
Like I told the report at sidebar, if the people's position is going to be that it was towed at night, doesn't mean it got there at night, it could have been there during the day, then as the people or the defense is going to present, if it was there during the day, they would have likely towed it. And so that's why I showed the 103, as I clearly identified with the court, with the witness, that these are all the ones within that time frame. And Mr.
So that's 103 and 18 months. That's 5 to 6 cars per month.
Correct. Well, yes. Out of a total of 20 towed a month.
All right, I don't see the relevance. Basically, the testimony and the records indicate it's possible if the vehicle was there during the daytime and they saw the driver leaving, it's possible it could have been towed, but not necessarily. If it was there during the daytime for several hours, it's possible it would have been towed, but not necessarily.
Correct.
So that's susceptible of the arguments. It could have been there anytime from 7 in the morning until 9 or 10 at night. And if it was there that long, it's possible it could have been towed earlier, it's possible it wouldn't have been towed. So the records don't add anything to that.
The only thing it adds is when Mr. Carter spoke to Detective Hankey, he said it would have never happened if they were there during the day.
All right, you've already covered that it's now possible that it did happen.
Correct. The other issue, though, is we need factual basis to argue if it was there during the day, the light would have been towed, because they've done it before. And it would have been that subjective.
That's not what the records would suggest.
The records suggest that they actually tow vehicles during the day if they're a non-customer. They park a car and leave it.
That it happened five or 6 times a month.
Out of 20 cars that were towed, yes, 25% of the time.
I'm sustaining the objection to this area of questioning under relevancy evidence code 352, and Mr. Carter is excused. So you don't need to come back, Mr. Carter. Okay?
There is one thing that has to be clarified, though. Mr. Imes, in his questioning, his demeanor in front of the jury suggested that I misrepresented what was in those records, and I did not give him a complete copy. When actually, my question was, and that Exhibit A is, only the pages that happen during business hours. And when he misrepresented that to us, he now challenged my credibility in front of the jury. And I should have the opportunity to correct that and show that the people are being disingenuous with the jury about the defense's credibility.
If you want to lay a proper foundation for the records, the complete records, then you can do that, and that'll answer that question.
Okay.
All right, we'll be recessed till 1:30.